Why filmmaking? How did you get started?
I didn't have any choice really. I had no choice whatsoever. My when I wasn't academically brilliant, um, that helped. Although I read a lot. My dad was in the film business,
Oh, was he?
and yep, he was a sound editor. Well, he was a picture editor, sound editor. Then he was a director, um, and he run about three really successful sound studios in Soho. And that's what we were brought up with. My dad did not kick a football around with me.
Okay.
Um, he did not take me to sporting events, but we did go to the cinema about three times
Oh,
a
nice.
week, of which I was put in front of films that I had no idea what was going on. Oh, I'm eight. What? I don't understand.
Or
And my
suitable?
no, most of them weren't. And it's nice to know that I've done that with my own children. Where I remember my son at school doing some sort of media thing, and they said, "Well, obviously at your age, nobody's seen Apocalypse Now," and his hand went up, and then we got a note saying, "Should you be showing Apocalypse Now to your 9-year-old son?" And I went, "Well, I haven't shown him. I haven't shown him the director's cut. It was a short." So his love of film that's carried on as well, and my daughter's as well. So I had absolutely and utterly no choice. I didn't know what to do with my life. I went to drama. I wanted to be an actor. I went to drama school. Came out of that. Worked consistently. So I was spoilt for about 10 years, and then suddenly it did that, and I didn't work quite as much. And
Anything we would have seen?
no, I lots of commercials when I had hair.
Uh,
Awful lot of commercials. I
what was what
then
was the, what was the best commercial?
the one that I keep getting £56 and 3p for, which is absolutely fine, is a Just Brazil's advert. Somebody put it up on YouTube saying, it was 1977. Oh, sod off! It wasn't. What's the hell do you think I am? Um, uh, and that Just Brazil's was that came out every Christmas for 6 years. Used to pay for Christmas and beyond,
Nice.
and that's when you could make money out of commercials. And they had one of those, those Channel 4 things where they ask a load of B and C list celebrities about their favourite.
Yeah.
And I was number 11
Oh,
going. It was
yeah.
only Christmas until we saw the Just Brazils man. And you could find it on YouTube. You don't have to, but you can
I will
find it
look
on
for it,
YouTube.
and if I find it, I will link to it in the show notes below so
Yeah,
anyone
thanks
else
for
can have
yeah.
a
I had a horrible feeling I
look.
should have said that. But that was extraordinary. That when you look at it, and I absolutely remember the shoot. Lovely director, lovely day. We spent 2 days shooting that. I mean, we'd shoot that in the morning now. Do you know what I mean? 2 days with full Monty crew.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those days have sort of gone. And in many respects, it was sort of their own fault because they were so overcharging.
Yeah.
And when people suddenly realised how much things cost, and it changed the business, and people suddenly couldn't be charging for a commercial like that,
Is that a good thing for
300.
the industry? Bad thing?
It's probably a bad thing. I mean, the biggest problem, I always remember it, was when camcorders way back,
Yeah.
okay, they were on Argos, or, on that laminated Book of Dreams,
Yes.
and that's from Bill Bailey.
That
And
reminds me of Christmas. Is flicking through
yes,
that.
it's the
Yeah,
Argos.
yeah.
Oh, I want that, want
Yep,
this.
yep.
And suddenly they became affordable, which was great, and people could make stuff, and they got little edit things that they could do,
Mm,
and and it that was the sort of the downside of our business, because everybody went, well, why do you need a great big camera?
yeah.
Why do you know? That's what we used to get all the time. Well, why don't you just shoot it like this? And we get it with phones now. We've got lots of clients who go, why can't you just shoot it on a phone? And I go, well, okay, what is that what you want it to look like then? Is that the vibe we're going? Because I can do that with a big camera and make it look like it's been on a phone. So I think it's great, and I think people. What's happened is that I think the mystique of filmmaking, and quite rightly in many respects, has sort of got whisked away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That those curtains have been parted, and people understand it sort of a lot more, which is a good thing, because then you have clients who understand the process and are on your side with it. And
Yep.
then on the converse side, you've got clients who go, why is it costing so much money? And
You
you
think
go,
they know
well,
better?
Yeah, because I'm not shooting it on a phone, mate, and we've got drones and this happening and models, and that's why it costs a lot of money. But there you go. So I had absolutely and utterly no choice about getting into the film business, and I worked for my dad um, for 2 years as studio manager, and then I worked as a dubbing editor. So I'd gone down that whole route.
Yeah.
That when I was very young, the only thing I regret, and you should always take every opportunity, because I'd got into drama school. There was an art director on on a film that my dad was producing and directing, and we got on so well that he offered, and I was so young, and I was young, to go out and help him on the new Superman movie with Christopher Reeve.
Wow.
And he said, "Just come out." He said, "I love working with you. Come out with me." And I said, I still think about it now. I
Do
said
you?
no because I'd got into drama school. And he kept saying, "You can defer going back to drama school. Come and spend 6 months working on the Superman film in Pinewood and in Hollywood." That's the only regret I have, thinking, "Oh, I could have done that." And then I ended up doing this because I was a script doctor. I then made the sideways turn into directing commercials, mainly overseas,
Yeah.
in Europe, a lot of European stuff, and then um, ended up with a very, this is really quite dull, isn't it? This rather this guy came to us, or came to me, and he had this extraordinary idea, and he invented, years before you could do it properly, he invented memes basically.
Oh, did he?
And yeah, he was extraordinary, and he'd worked within the mobile phone business for years and years and years,
Right.
and years ahead of his time, because the technology wasn't there to actually do that. But he
Yeah.
went to Hallmark Channel. Hallmark Channel, they
Yep.
they do the cards, but they also make they also make these extraordinary films that a life in the day of, and
Yeah. Yeah.
escape from, and it always used to have one major star in it. And they rolled these out, thousands of them, hundreds and hundreds of these films. And he thought the idea was to go these through these films. He went to Hallmark. He bought the rights to all the films, or would share the rights with them,
Yep.
and then we would go through those things and find clips and take them out and put a silly gag on it. And it was literally, or there was a reaction, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and a what, all those react. And but it never quite worked, because the technology just simply wasn't there. It was all still not quite dial up.
When was that? Early 2000s.
uh yes, a little bit earlier than,
Oh,
probably a
early.
little bit earlier than that. And that's
Okay.
where I met Chris, my business partner.
Right.
And he and I used to burn the midnight oil. The best thing was watching 5,000 of these in, in going mad, watching this rubbish and going, "Oh, that's a funny bit. um we can use that." But it's a shame, because if he hadn't, and also you couldn't monetize it
Yeah.
properly, because people didn't want to. And now it's free. Now you get them with your phone, and that's that. So although
And
I
now,
know
now
there's
you put those on TikTok and they get millions and millions of views.
millions and millions of views,
Yeah.
but there you go. And so Chris and I then started up a production company, and it was sort of onwards from there. So that's how I got to here, to Odd Man Out.